All right, guys, we got John Rush on today. He's, first of all, an incredible Twitter follow. If you guys are on there on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. He's a developer, entrepreneur, and has founded more than 30 startups, which is crazy on its own. But today we're going to be talking about building online directories. So John's been doing this for some time now. He's built over 20 directories, gotten over 10 million in traffic, and most recently sold one of them. John, what's up? How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks for a great intro. Thanks for bringing me on this pod. And my goal today is to walk you through my own process of coming up with ideas and finding the domain names and growing and monetizing directories. So I've done that, as you say, 20 times. Actually, it's a lot more, like 50, but
Wow.
not all made it. So only about 12 are doing pretty well. The rest are still in progress, but also moving. So I will start with the part that's the most important. And I think people who build web directories, I browse the internet every day for web directories. I have a product called Listing Bot, which is a robot that looks for directories every day. So it finds like hundreds of them every day. So I think I know all directories that have ever been created, and in real time. And I watch them and I see what are the ideas, what are the approaches there, and about 99% of directories fail, just like in everything else, right? Same as in SaaS startups. So most directories fail. Even it sounds easy to make a directory, and it seems like the odds are succeeding high compared to like hardware startups or SaaS startups, but it's still open market. A lot of people compete, and most fail. And number one reason why people fail is that they don't spend enough time on keyword research. Because if you look at SaaS products, if you have a pain and you come up with an idea, eventually you will find your product market fit if you pivot enough, because the pain was there to start with, right? It was a real pain you had, and you were solving the pain or somebody else's pain. But with directories, it's purely SEO game, because people never going to remember your directory. People never going to save it to the bookmarks or send to friends, etc. So people land on your directory by searching on Google for something and then seeing your directory in the search results and going there. That's number one source of traffic. So you have to understand that at the start. That's why if you have good keywords to start with, you have chance to win that traffic. If you have bad keywords to start with, the keywords with low traffic and high competition, you will never win, no matter what you try. And I have never seen an exception from that rule yet, both in my directories and in directories by other people. So that's what you always start with, keyword research, and that part is really hard. There are a lot of tools for that, Ahrefs and SEMrush, and a lot of them. So I tried all of them, every single one of them, and I don't know why. I might be wrong, and it might be bad advice, but it somehow works for me that I always use Google itself for keyword research. I use Google Keyword Planner, and I use Google Search.
All right, guys, a quick break to talk about the sponsor of today's video, Fatjoe.com. They're a leading provider of white label SEO services. They offer link building, content creation, digital PR, and so much more. Their Black Friday sale starts on November 24th to Cyber Monday, and they're offering 20% off all services for that sale. But because you're watching this video, you can already have access to that discount through the link in the description and also in the pinned comment right under this video. So go get that Black Friday sale, guys, and let's get back to the pod.
And I will show you how I use them both in combination. So I use Keyword Planner for the traffic research, and I use Google Search to understand whether the competition is high or not. So let's just try a random idea. I wasn't prepared for this, so we have to invent an idea right now. And let's say we want to go for best tent. Yeah. So basically, people are looking for tents, and they would probably go to Google to find a tent. Share tab. Yeah. So it has a lot of traffic, 10K to 100K. It says competition high, but this is the competition for ads. you shouldn't be afraid of high competition for tradable items. So basically, if the item is purchasable, don't be afraid, because these are the competition for ads, and that's totally fine. Like some people will just scroll past the ads anyways, so you don't have to worry about that. But the most important is that you have 10 to 100K. But then you look down and you see something even more interesting. So you see that pop-up tents have 900 plus year-over-year change, which is interesting, which means that it's growing. And if it's growing, it might be that it's not that crowded yet, because everything that's growing wasn't popular just a year ago. So maybe there's more chance with this one. So then you take this pop-up tent and you go back to Google and you do that search. So you keep doing the ping pong with this. And now you see pop-up tent and you see what's here. And with pop-up tent is the same thing. There is no. So remember, when people scroll these lists, they care a lot where the links are going, because people are really good at Googling. Like we are Googling every day, and especially people who look for pop-up tents, and because probably they're into this stuff, and they look at the URLs, and if the URL is non-related, like all URLs in this list, it turns them off. But once they see URL that's saying, let's say, best pop-up tents, imagine like this one would be saying bestpopuptents.com/whatever explore. That would be really interesting for somebody who is looking to research the pop-up tents. So basically, in this research right now, I can say that the pop-up tent is the best idea, because it's not highly competitive here. The competition comes either from paid sponsors, as you see, or from something that doesn't make sense, like dictionary from Cambridge. That's not what people are looking for, and e-commerce. So there's no directory, and there's no blog from somebody who specializes on that. Maybe this one is the closest. I don't know. It's T-Tone Gear. I think this is close, but it's sport. I think that, yeah, this is also e-commerce. So basically, in this case, I can conclude that pop-up tent is a pretty good idea for a directory, because it has really high traffic. It's incredibly high traffic, and it's growing. Because if it was not growing, then I could conclude that people are either working on it, and there are a lot of good directories below top 10, and they will eventually get up there. But in this case, it's 10x in the last year. It means that most likely people are not occupying all that space yet. So the next step. So now I found high traffic keyword. I saw that there's no high competition on that keyword. And my next step is to find a domain name, because very often you find the keyword, there's no competition, but you can't find a good domain name for that, and you have to give up on that because of that. So let's switch to GoDaddy and do the search here. All right, so
20K. Not bad.
Well, it is quite expensive for me. I never pay more than $9. But also, it's just one pop-up tent, so you probably want to get tents. So .com is taken, but you have org. And the interesting thing here is that if you are competing with commercial items, having the .org domain zone is actually an advantage. Why? Because you will stand out from all those who want to sell you something, and you will look like a place like a Wikipedia, or a place about information, not about transactions.
Yeah, like
so
you're
in this
curating
case,
something.
exactly. So in this case, it's very counterintuitive, but this domain is really good.
Sick.
So if you go for this, it's just amazing domain. popuptents.org. Can't be better than that. So we were really lucky on this on this demo. So from the first try, we found really good domain, high traffic, growing traffic, low competition from the research kind of resources, and the domain is available. So that's pretty much it on the ideation side. So from here, I move on to build the directory.
Yeah, show us how you build a full directory. Like, where do we get all this data from, and how we structure the website?
Yeah, so the next step is to basically go to my next product. It's called Unicorn Platform. It lets you build websites, but lately we saw that directories are the primary use case. So I'm doubling down on nearly pivoting into directory builder. So we have so many directories built here. So one thing you have to really understand when you build directories. So the directories are 80% success lays in keyword research and domain. That's 80%, literally. The other 15% is in the data curation, like actual items. So you have to have good items. And 5% is in technology. What exactly is this tag, or what's the design? Surprisingly, if you look for most famous directories in the world, you will find that they're really ugly. And like we all know Craigslist, which looked like from 1998 until recently. I think now they updated their design. So, but what I see in real life is that people reverse this rule, and they spend 80% of their time on technology. Some even write code to build the directories, and they spend weeks or months on that. And some overdo the design. So my advice is go with no code. You don't have to go with my tool, but go with no code, because I will explain later why. Because building directory is not the only job you have to do. Now there will be a lot more things to do once you launch a directory, and usually no code tools give you that part out of the box. And if you hard code this stuff, you have to do it yourself, and there are a lot of things to do further. So basically, you will save a lot of time if you go with no code. And also, all no code tools have templates, and you can just pick a template and don't bother with design, because nobody really cares about your brand identity. You don't have to be unique. You don't have to have fancy logo. Like it's actually the opposite. The more basic you look, the less salesy you look, the better, because you are, as you see in our experiment, you're competing with this e-commerce sites, with all the places that want to sell you something, which means if you want to convince people that you are not there to grab their money, but you are there to provide them with information, and you're on their side, you have to look really simple. The simpler, the better. Yeah, so we're gonna pick here like the first one, or actually maybe, since it's tents, probably you want to have pictures of the tents, right? Because that's important. People, when they look at the tents and how they look, that's why I would actually scroll and find the directory with images. I think this one is good. This one has big images. All right. So I hit create. And now I can actually use AI to spit this whole thing up.
Oh, damn.
And so that's it. Now the only next thing I have to do is to find the tents, because now I have some demo data here. So I have to populate this with real tents. And the way you find the data is different based on the space. And I have no magic bullet for that. It all depends on the space itself. So I generally recommend to build directories for the topics you understand.
So scraping is a pretty good option. Scrape Amazon or scrape any of the other popular places that are
Yeah,
listing those tents, for example, and
yeah.
that's
Like
it. You
let's
have
try
you have a TV.
pop-up tent. So you can search for that on Twitter, but then there is one cool feature. They have advanced search, and you can do this. So you go minimum likes, and you say, let's say 30. And you have to do it this way. So now you get only viral tweets about pop-up tents, which is pretty cool. Because if something goes viral, it's usually good, or at least it's better than an item that you have no idea about, right? So if you have to judge between two items, the one that went viral probably is better than the other one. And there are scrapers for Twitter too.
Cool.
So I do that. I create the scrapers per resource. So for Product Hunt, for Twitter, for LinkedIn, for Reddit, for Quora, etc. And then I fetched 100 items from each, and I populated my database, my Google
Okay,
Sheet
cool.
with that. And that's it. So
Cool.
same thing I would do here. So this database is managed by using Google Sheet. Like it's basically a spreadsheet that has all these items. And you just replace the items there with actual tents, and that's it. Yeah. So our site is pretty much live. The only thing it's missing is the actual items. And if one knows where to find them, then I would say you spend a couple of hours, you populate this, and you connect your domain name, and your directory is live. So if it takes you more than a day to build a directory, you're going the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
It might take you weeks to find the idea. That's totally fine. So basically, when you look at your time allocation per task, see it that way, that if you never build a directory, you can easily give yourself a week to research and come up with an idea, even a month, to be honest, because I did it fast because I have intuition for that now, because I've done it so many times. But if you've never done it before, it won't go that fast. And also, you will have to do more validation than I did now, because I do little validation. Like you could also check whether there are Reddit questions about this. Why? Because when you launch your directory, the best way to promote your directory at the start is to find the questions on the internet and go there and say, look, I built one, or I built a directory that helps you. And, it is like surprisingly, if you share directory under those questions, even on Reddit, nobody hates you, nobody downvotes you, because the directory is non-profit, and people normally don't hate others who plug their links if those links are non-profit. If you bring your SaaS tool there and there is sign up and pay button there, then people are going to hate you for that. So that's why, like, another thing that you have to understand when you build directory is that you have to have a plan to promote directory before you build the directory. And what I do is I look for social media and Reddit and Quora and places like that, and I try to find really popular entries there where I can plug in my directory link. And if I find many, that's like green flag for me, because one thing to grow is SEO, but it takes time. But also for SEO, you need backlinks. And if you put your URL into replies, it's not directly a backlink, but since a lot of people see, there's high chance that they will put that into some other places and you'll gain the backlink. So for example, with my open source software directory, that's what I did. I went to there was a Reddit subreddit and with viral post, and I just added my site there, and then the next day I woke up and I had tons of backlinks because people just created blog articles and included my link there. Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
your process for launching, the first thing you check is where on social media are they talking about that topic, asking questions, see if you can add in your new directory there. That's like the first thing you do right after launch.
that's the thing you should do if you want to increase the chance of success. So if you want to build just one directory and you want to win with just one try, then you have to add more. You have to add more into your validation process. Like now I showed you how to check the traffic. So I will just list all that. So first you check the traffic on the keyword. If there's no traffic on a keyword, it simply means that nobody cares about this. That's it. Or you just spell the term wrong. And that's why when you saw the way I was looking for that keyword first, I went to Google and I typed tents, and Google helped me to find the right keyword around this term. So do that. So start with Google and make sure Google helps you to formulate the keyword, because it's not that straightforward to formulate the keyword, because keyword is always more than one word. The more words you have in a keyword, the better, because it's easier to win it. And then step number 2, you check for traffic. And if there's high traffic, you also check if there is high growth. Because if there's no high growth, it might be oversaturated. But if there's high growth, there's lower chance that people were targeting this keyword. And then number 4 is that you figure out whether you understand the topic or not. Because if you don't understand the topic, it will be difficult for you to proceed further, because all the next steps require you to understand this and to be able to evaluate. So given that you understand the topic, the number 5 is that you search on all user-generated portals such as social media, Reddit, forums, Quora, and you check them whether they have this topic there, and people ask questions or people just discuss that. It's easy to search for that. You just use this. I will show you that trick too. So you say site reddit.com.
Hold on, I don't think the tab changed. There you go.
Yeah. So you do this. So you put this site reddit.com, and you do that with every site, and then you see everything about pop-up tents. And you can see that there are a lot of stuff, but then you have to see whether there are clicks or there are views there. So let's go into one, share this tab instead. So it's 7 upvotes. There's camping. Oh, this is really huge. 5 million people in this subreddit, and there are a lot of places to plug in your link, and maybe even you could, like in many cases, directories are the only URLs that are allowed on Reddit.
Yeah.
Like you might still get banned, but the chance of not being banned is really high if you just come in and you say, hey guys, I'm a big fan of pop-up tent, been camping all my life, and everybody was asking me how to find great tents, so I built this directory. You just be honest if that's the actual story, and that should be the story. Like I always suggest to build stuff that comes out from you naturally, that you have certain hobby related to that, or an interest. And if you do that, people are gonna like that. And if you get that like on Reddit, and that's huge, because Reddit backlink is the best backlink on the internet, because Reddit is really high domain rating. And also when people search for pop-up tent, and you have a Reddit article saying how to find best pop-up tents, it's just gonna take you a day to be number one on Google through Reddit. So basically, that's the game here. So to get to the top using your own URL, it will take you months or maybe years. But Reddit is already strong, and it will be just instantly. So that's why an SEO should always promote yourself through other websites that already have high domain rating. And coming back to the list of the things you have to get in place before you think the idea is good. So one of those things is that you have to see good potential for Reddit, Quora, Twitter, and LinkedIn growth. And it's easy to validate that. You just search for those terms and you see whether there's anything viral around that. And for this, we clearly see that there's huge subreddit, and it's obvious that there are a lot of other, I'm sure there's viral Quora article about this too.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much convinced in this case because all the checkboxes are checked. So keyword, high traffic, really good domain name, and growing traffic, and social media and Reddit kind of places have a space for me for marketing. So 5 check boxes marked. I go and build this. That's how
Cool.
I
And
think.
so in terms of actually ranking this, so we know that we can list it inside of Reddit, but if we'd like to rank this, we know that it is going to be slightly competitive, right? How do we go about getting some backlinks, which is what's going to help us rank, especially for a brand new website?
What I usually do is I list my directory on other directories because they're directories of directories, or their forums, their blogs, and I list it everywhere I can, like hundreds of places. Then I find every single article on the internet about this topic, and I put my URL into the comments, and I get no follow link, but it's Google still follows those links which are no follow. Google does. It's just way lower weight for that, but it still follows. So that's pretty much it. So I have two ways of acquiring backlinks. So one is to list on all the directories in the world and all the replies under articles, and make it so good that the influencers do the backlinks for me.
Yeah, so good that it can't be ignored, right? People they need to share it. They love it so much.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sad to see that most directories actually stop there and they don't put the work needed into making the data great. And you have to make it great, but then you also have to update it every month because new things appear. And but that's really, really important.
Yeah, so probably a good idea just to pick something that you really love, really know about, because otherwise
Yeah, exactly.
you're not going to be interested in pop-up tents, updating everything every month.
Exactly. Like if you like the topic, you have a good start. You already know where to find the data, and also it's easy for you to become more to spend more time with it because you just like it. And I think there's so many directories to be created. Like some people say it's there are too many. No, there are too few. I think
Interesting.
there's only 1% of directories are there, and 99% are not created yet.
A lot of opportunity. Yeah.
A lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
People should just not go into directories of AI tools, for example. Like, just don't go into very crowded space. Do exactly the opposite. Go into something that nobody else is going because it's not sexy. Like, who would be building a directory for pop-up tents? A typical person who is interested in pop-up tents isn't the one who would build a directory. That's why certain areas are just so empty on competition, because typical users of those items are not the developers or not the founders. But again, I'm sure there are people, there are designers and developers who like comping, and for them this is a really good idea.
What I like about it is that it's almost like, in a lot of ways, it's like you take programmatic SEO and you apply it to a website that I guess wouldn't usually have programmatic SEO. Like this could, like, a lot of people ranking for these type of keywords are just affiliate websites or e-commerce websites. But if you kind of apply programmatic SEO to like pop-up tents, right, you scrape absolutely everything, and you create as many pages as possible relating to all the different categories of pop-up tents. You have this like little moat, this massive website. And if it's great, that adds so much to it, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
it's, you can target so many keywords, so many different categories. And often, if you're doing it like the affiliate way, it's just blog posts, right? Blog posts
Yeah. Yeah.
nowadays, it's so
Exactly.
much harder to digest, and most content is created
Yeah.
with AI, and it's, most people don't want that. They just want like the curated list of like what's actually the best here, right? So yeah.
Yeah. I
One question
think
I had was, oh, sorry, go on.
just one comment on that, since you touched the blog post and AI. I think people will, like, there's no serious future in blog posts,
I
because,
agree.
as you say, it's AI is dominating it. But also, what's more important is that the search engines don't want to send you to the article. They can just process the article and give you the answer. But when it comes to directories, like, just imagine this: you're searching for something, and there's a blog post about it, and AI says, I took the information from this blog post, and here's the answer. And you would be like, good, thanks. And that's it. Like, why do you have to open the blog post anymore? You got the answer. And now think about the other case. Think about the case where you're looking for pop-up tents, and AI gives you the answer. It says, I think this pop-up tent will be great for you. And I took this information from pop-up tent directory. And what's your natural reaction to this is that, but why do you think so? Like, you will ask the AI, like, why do you think so? Like, I rather go and judge myself, because this is not the answer. This is just a judgment made by AI, and that's a different thing. So a lot of people don't understand that AI will totally dominate the space of answers, and but it will not dominate the space of judgment, because why would you trust AI to judge? You would trust it to answer, but not to judge. And in this case, you would say, I rather go myself to the directory and I look for myself. So that's why, looking in the future, like, a lot of people say that directories and SEO game and it's all doomed, and Google will die and everything. I think that no matter what happens, the one thing that will survive the AI, the post AI era of search, is exactly the directories. That's why
Hmm.
I'm so bullish on directories, and
Yeah.
I'm less bullish on blog.
Yeah. And I'd agree with that. I'm also really bullish on programmatic SEO, and being able to
Yeah,
build these services that kind of these landing pages that provide a lot of data, because the AI just can't do anything with that, right? It's just, it's, that's what you
exactly.
said, it's judgment. So I totally agree with that. One question I had was, how do you monetize these directories? I saw on a couple of directories that you have like an advertise button, but is that what usually works the most? Like, do you take on sponsorships? Is it affiliate? What do you usually do?
Yeah, so I
Other
have
guys.
this directory guide that I made, and I can just go through the guide I made myself. So there are a lot of ways to monetize, a lot more than people think. Like, I have 20, and
Well,
I won't go through all 20. I will just go through, like, the first 5 we see on this page. So
perfect.
one is claim your listing. That's pretty cool. So you basically populate directory with items, and then you email all the owners of the items, and you say, hey, do you want to claim your listing? Do you want to update it with better data, with better pictures, with contact information, etc.? And even better than that, you should collect the analytics on the item, and you say, hey, your item on our directory has been viewed 100 times this week. Do you want to improve it? Do you want to take control of this item? And this is highly convertible. Like, most people are going to say yes, of course, because you just bring them traffic, and traffic worth a lot, right? So that's the no-brainer, the claim your listing part. And then the other one is affiliate links, which is a no-brainer too. Always do them. Uh, just convert every link you have to affiliate link. and then it's same experience for the users, but you get kickbacks and you get commissions on all the sales. And it works really well for some cases. For example, I have this directory called MVP Wizards. It's people building MVPs, and the ticket is pretty high there, like 5K per transaction. And even one transaction brings me like 1K, because I have
Well,
20% commission, right?
okay.
So it brings a lot of affiliate revenue if you have high ticket items there. But if it's low ticket items, then it's less, because I had this directory of movies to watch, and then I had affiliate links from iTunes, and I had millions of clicks, but I made like $100 on that.
Mhm.
So iTunes pays really little. I don't know why. I think they pay like 1 cent or something. So, but it still doesn't hurt, right? So affiliate links should be there because it doesn't hurt and it makes money. Sometimes a lot of money, sometimes little money, sometimes no money. And then sponsors, obviously. But for sponsors, you have to make sure you have the reach for them. For me, it's easier. I have a lot of followers on the internet, so sponsors reach out to me on social media all the time, and we make deals, and then it just works. But if you don't have the audience, then you can use the tools like Hunter.io, Find My Mail, etc. And you can just find emails of possible sponsors. And the best way to find sponsors is to look at the overlap of your audience. So, for example, in this case, pop-up tents, the obvious sponsor are the people who are making pop-up tents. And uh, you should go not after the huge makers, but find smaller makers where you can reach the founder and work with the founder of
Mhm.
that pop-up tent company, because in that case you have an opportunity to go farther than the sponsor. You can actually become partners, and your whole directory might be sponsored, or nearly co-owned with that person, and then that business will pay you quite a lot for that. Because for them it's growth, and if you explain the potential, they will just be super happy to pay you for that. And I think that's, even in some cases, that's better. In some cases, having one sponsor only going to bring you more money than many sponsors in some cases. I think for the pop-up tent, that would be the case. I would find some young entrepreneur who is building a new company around this, and I would say you should allocate part of your marketing budget to be my sponsor, and I work really hard on making this directory really big. And if that happens, you're going to get a lot of traffic from here. It's a win-win, and I would do that. And then boosted listings. It's you have a lot of listings and you sort them in some way, but then sometimes you can charge people to be boosted and to be sent higher up. Basically, it's you can have bidding system where people bid to be number one, and then you can outbid, like auction. And then you have featured listings where people pay to be featured on the top. Like I have it. If you go to open source thing, I have listing bot featured on the top, and it's really good ROI
Works.
for. Yeah, I mean it's a lot of clicks from this, so it's very easy to sell. And once people buy it, they want to buy it again because they see the ROI. And
Mhm.
that's the good thing about all these ways of monetizing. Like whenever you bring people growth, they come back for more growth, because that's the hardest part of the business these days, to grow your product.
Yep.
And if with directories every day you bring more and more growth because you have more and more traffic, so it just gets better and better.
Yep.
And
I
there
remember
is
in a
there's retention. Basically, you can have a retention of your sponsors. And I have, like, for example, I have this like Next.js starter where I have these guys sponsoring me infinitely. So basically it's like monthly or weekly subscription, and just goes on forever, right?
sick. So I saw I don't know where it was, but you said might have been on Twitter, that everyone should have a directory as like a side project. Like it is probably the easiest thing to start off with. Why do you think it's that? Like, why do you think in comparison to like, I mean, I guess building a SaaS is incredibly difficult, but why was this something that you would pick first?
That's a deep question, and it needs its own podcast. And I think directories need way less talent than SaaS, and that's why directories are good to start, because I think 1 year is enough for one amateur person to succeed with at least one directory. Like, you have to give many shots, maybe try 10 or 20, but I think after 1 year, somebody who really puts time into it will succeed at least with one directory. That means that you feel good about yourself, like you succeeded with something, because that's really important. You believe in yourself now. B, you develop some part of the skills. So now you know how to ideate, how to search for high traffic keywords, and how to promote things in a simple way. Because again, if you're promoting SaaS, the world just slaps you in the face right away, because nobody cares about your SaaS. People gonna hate you everywhere. And imagine how hard it is. Like, you're coming naive, trying to, hey guys, I made this, and they're like, fuck off. But with directories, you bring a
Yeah.
directory and people say, cool, nice, great job. And which one is better? If you're just starting out, of course it's
Yeah,
better when
absolutely.
people say good job. So that's what I think people should start with, something simpler than SaaS. It's either a directory, or it can be just an information site. It can be a free tool, but just never start first with paid SaaS, like traditional paid SaaS.
Yeah.
And also, one more thing that people don't realize is that if you start with the directory in a space you like, the chance that you will be able to utilize that directory later to come up with the idea for a SaaS tool is really high. And not just coming up with the idea, but you have the whole channel with traffic in your hand that you can drive to your SaaS tool. And what can be better than that? So now suddenly the whole growth part is covered by your directory, just brings you traffic, right?
Brilliant. Yeah. I'm sold. I'm probably gonna I have a SaaS, but now I'm gonna move into directories, man. Brilliant, dude. Man, thanks for taking the time. That step-by-step process was amazing. Where can people find you? Where's the best place?
The best place to find me is Twitter and LinkedIn, because I just tweet and
Yeah.
post every day everything I do. So
Yeah. You're an
both about
amazing Twitter follow, man.
directories.
I've been following you for a
Yeah,
while. So
thanks. I like that. I just, to be honest, my favorite product is my Twitter account. I mean,
hmm
I like to show people and teach people things I learned myself. It kind of feels really good, and my
Yep.
favorite thing to do. So Twitter or LinkedIn, and also I have this directory guide I made that kind of describes everything I describe here, but in a more academic way, like page by page with examples. So if anyone is serious about directories, I would actually recommend to get that. And also I have this Discord channel called Directory Makers for those who get the directory guide, and that channel is really cool. So we have so many people there, and it's questions and answers, and we share experience, and everybody helps each other, and it's kind of a directory mafia there. So
Amazing.
yeah, those
Cool.
places.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for taking the time.